Alright everyone, this video is a little bit different. Basically, myself and 4 other math streamers on Twitch, DannyHighway, E to the 2y pi, aka Zach, ENStucky, and Pencenter, all realized that we all kind of occupy the same or a similar niche on Twitch, and not only that, but we also kind of get along. They're just cool people. We had been floating the idea around to do some kind of discussion about how we can work together more and how we can grow the math community on Twitch because it's very small. And not only that, but we decided that we should do it live so that we can get our existing communities involved and able to add to the discussion. I think it was a great conversation, and I wanted to post it here for everyone else on YouTube to see and maybe add in their own thoughts, so please let me know in the comments. The only other thing I'll say is that we sometimes challenge each other's viewpoints, but in my opinion, it was in a healthy way, and it was a healthy amount of tension that we resolved. There's no drama here, so don't read too much into any disagreements that we might have. And yeah, again, please let me know if you have any thoughts. Thank you.
Does that mean I think we're officially good to get started?
I think so, yeah. Started. Yeah.
Okay, people, we're doing it. Welcome. This is the first weekly, monthly, annual gathering of the math.
Do you say weekly?
Weekly, monthly, annual. Yeah, it's one of those.
Daily.
Oh, it's not. It's daily. Oh, shit. I'm not. I don't think I can pay that kind of tax. Yeah, we are a bunch of separate math streamers. We'll do introductions shortly, but the general idea is that we have all taken open math questions here on Twitch for varying amounts of time. And the purpose of this meeting, or the hope for this meeting, is to just have a conversation about it and see if we can make anything a little bit more than what we're all currently doing happen. So, first order of business, what do you guys think? Just intros?
I think intros, yeah. Definitely.
I think, Don, I was actually wrong. I thought Pencenter had the most followers. I think Don has the most followers out of all of us. So, Don, you reign supreme. Oh. Start us off, man. Give me the intro.
I didn't know I'm the big kid on the block. Okay.
Heck yeah.
So yeah,
just taking notes, guys. Don't worry.
I don't know. I guess I'm Don. I don't know why I'm gonna choose myself because we all know each other. But yeah, I guess I'm here because I don't know. It just seems like a cool group of people, and I think that in general you go farther as a group when your goals are aligned. And I don't know. I think we all have a slightly different idea of what it means to collaborate with each other and how we can align ourselves better. So I'm enthusiastic about kind of caring about what everyone's ideas are. So I think this could be a really cool community because there's like we all have people who come and chat who are just like awesome, super enthusiastic about math, and I think that combining everyone's efforts can make something even cooler. Yeah.
Cool. Pencenter, what do you got?
So far, I have written down that Dawn is supreme in my notes.
True.
No. So hi guys, if you haven't had a chance to pop over to my channel, I'm Pencenter, and I am chair of the math department at Okanagan College, which is over in British Columbia, Canada. So this has been kind of a pet project of mine. I've been trying to kind of look through and find some really awesome people to potentially do something like this with. It's kind of been on the back burner for me for a couple of years, so I'm excited that we've actually had some time and some interest in getting this moving forward. So I'm excited to see where things go and what this may or may not look like for all of our viewers and future viewers looking into the future.
Zach, take it away, sir.
I was gonna say you outranked me, but you know I'll let you go first. But I'm Zach. I've probably been here almost as I don't know. I'm probably one of the younger in this group, as far not by age necessarily, but by the amount of time on Twitch. And I am currently a graduate student in mathematics education. It's more in math than math education, but I do math education research on the as part of my dissertation work right now as a PhD student. I do a lot of I teach at a university in the Mountain Time Zone in the United States. I'll say that, and I'll let you try and figure out who I am. You can, but I'm really interested in this because I know that there's like a desire for people to want to learn more than what they get in the university experience. And I've seen this in a lot of places. I know there's like tutoring involved, and I don't mind doing that. But I've also got this feeling from students I've taught and from people I've interacted with in chat that there's just a desire to learn more. And so I've wondered if this is a platform to provide that for people, and maybe even offer some, offer the tutoring, but also offer the, some kind of university-like experience. I wonder if there's something like that that's possible. That's sort of where I maybe could see this. I'm also interested in what all four of you can offer, and what kind of common goals we can set. I'm excited for that.
Cool. Thank you, sir. ENStucky, you're up to bat.
Sure. I am a person of many names, as all these folks know. Currently, and in most places professionally, I go by ENStucky. I am happily unemployed, a recovering academic mathematician, and I started streaming as part of a personal journey about 2 months ago to really radically reframe the way that I interact with math. And these folks have been part of that journey. They knew each other before I knew them, and it's been a couple of weeks, but it's been a really enjoyable time, and want to see what I was very happy to get invited into this call, and so I want to see what the people's thoughts are.
Cool. I guess that leaves me. I'm Dan, known on Twitch as DannyHighway. Dan is fine. I've been a professional, basically gen ed math tutor for high schools and a couple community colleges for about the past decade. So I think I have a bit of a unique perspective in that rather than continuing to get further education in math, I have basically spun my wheels at low-level math forever. So a lot of my ideas in this conversation will be heavily colored by that perspective of just what are people looking for when they're looking for tutoring. I've never been a professor. I've never been a TA. I've never been involved in a lab. I have only ever tutored. So that perspective entirely biases my takes for the rest of this conversation. So promise I'm not being self-deprecating. Pencenter, don't yell at me. Just know that is absolutely where a lot of my vigor is going to be directed for this conversation. But with intros out of the way, I think there's one other order of business that I really care about, and then the rest we can just kind of open mic it. But we have a very huge success recently to celebrate. Zach, would you like to tell anyone who doesn't know what you recently accomplished?
You already know from the day. If you watched my stream, I passed the comprehensive exam, and this is for those that are unaware of what a PhD student goes through. You're supposed to take an exam that qualifies you to do a dissertation or a thesis, and I passed that exam unanimously, which is nice. There's no dissenting votes, which is always a positive. If you've done any graduate work at all, you know what that means. I see ENStucky laughing because you know what that means. So yeah, I mean, I had my celebratory milkshakes today, and my family all had some as well. So we're celebrating. It's exciting, and hopefully I'll do something bigger for the dissertation. Maybe, who knows? When I defend, maybe I'll do it on Twitch. If I'm, whatever happens, that would be sort of fun to have a public defense and truly make it public. So we'll see.
I would love it for what it's worth.
I'd watch.
Oh yeah.
I would watch that.
I have to get my advisor on board, so well that's a thing in and of itself. But anyway.
Cool. One thing for sure to get out of the way is that anybody in chat at all who has any input, any questions, any ideas, even if they're completely off the wall, off the top of your head ideas about what we might do to improve the math Twitch space, please share them in chat, whether it's this chat, whether it's anybody else's chat. We're just kind of brainstorming. That's kind of the nature of this call, is just brainstorming. So with that being said, does anybody have anything burning that they wanted to talk about? You guys know I don't shut up. I'll talk. I have ideas, but I wanted to let you guys, especially with your like higher experience, I wanted to let you guys kind of inform what you think we can talk about today.
Okay, I guess we're all introverts. Well, I think the big idea. I mean, so the big idea that's kind of we've been kind of talking about generally, but not specifically, is the idea of like a group Discord in an integrated way for people to ask questions and some way that we can all like take answers. That's not a phrase, but
Yeah, I think your meaning is clear. And that's a really good kind of reminder of one of the questions that I had for this, which is what are the problems that merging our communities might solve? Like the whole point of this is to make improvements. We're already all kind of doing well, but the whole point of this is to make that even better than it currently is. So if we're not going to do that, what's the point? So I think the question, and you kind of answered it partly, is that merging our communities might solve the problem of having a bunch of different spaces that people have to go to. Enigma very graciously put together a command on my stream for spamming all of your Twitch links and all of your Discord links, which now, ENStucky, you will happily be a part of. Very, very grateful to have you here. So the idea of giving people a one-stop shop rather than having them have to juggle 4 or 5 different places to go, I think would be a tremendous advantage just to streamline the user experience. And I think streamlining the user experience itself might be a good theme of what we're trying to accomplish here. Cool. What else? What other thoughts do we have?
I'm gonna speak like very selfishly for a while.
Please do. We need more. Need more selfish speaking.
Yeah, so like when I was thinking about like sort of ignoring the question, like when I was thinking about the problems on that like I'm currently facing, right? Whether or not this sort of collaboration business can solve them. Like to me, by far the biggest thing that bothers me is that I don't have a way to communicate with folks when stream is going to get delayed, and I don't even really have a consistent schedule at this point. So like when it's starting, and when things have to get canceled. Usually I know this well in advance of when it actually happens, but there's just no communication method. So certainly one way of doing this is just to make my own Discord, but I feel like I am already annoyed by how many Discords that I'm a part of. So when I heard that there was this potential merger, it certainly seems like a problem that I have that could be solved. And then I'll say the second biggest problem that I have is just viewership count. Like, which is not to say that that's a huge problem, but is to say that like things are going pretty well actually. So it was difficult for me to see exactly, to try to find exactly what I was hoping to receive out of this beyond the kinship that we sort of already have. Maybe this is a more negative message than we wanted so early in the conversation, but is
No. I agree. I think there's been expressed. I know, Zach, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you had some thoughts about like we definitely don't want this to take away any more than it adds. And even if it doesn't take away more than it adds, if it takes away anything, that's already a huge red flag of like, is the juice worth the squeeze? So the idea that this could in fact harm us and not help us is definitely something we want to have in mind as we're talking about what does it actually look like? What are our ideas? For sure. I think you can call it negative, but I think being pragmatic and practical is very much needed for this conversation. So I appreciate that.
And so I guess I would follow that up with what kinds of things would we be concerned about? Like what kinds of things would necessarily take away from what we're hoping to offer?
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry, I was looking at a chat suggestion.
Yeah, no worries. I have a chat that I'll follow up with as well. So kind of what I'm hearing is like we don't want, if we were to do something like this, we don't want it to take away anything, right? Like we don't want this to necessarily come at the expense of something that we already have. And I guess I'm just curious of kind of more explicitly, what are those kinds of things, right? And if we can kind of identify what those kinds of what those kinds of things are, maybe we can put measures in place to prevent those kinds of things from happening.
Sure. I mean, certainly one of the things that I can speak on is, of course, there's like a nervous paranoia about oh man, Pencenter is streaming the same time that I am. He has so much more credibility than me. He has so much more expertise than me. People are going to prefer him to me. So my viewership will suffer because Pencenter and I are streaming at the same time. And as selfish as that can be, we are all by nature looking to increase our viewer count. That's what Twitch is about. So the idea that we can, I think, all recognize that hurting our own viewership to be part of a larger community is selfish in some way, but is also natural because by nature, you have to be selfish to want your thing on Twitch to thrive and to work. And by nature, you have to be selfish to want your business to flourish. By nature, you have to be some degree of selfish. So I hope that we all are comfortable enough to speak candidly that I don't want my viewership to suffer just because any of you geniuses are on. That being said, I've like long fought those demons and conquered them of like, I don't care. If someone prefers another tutor in the tutor lab, they should go to that tutor. And it's my job to go, well, why are people preferring Don to me? Like, okay, he has excellent drawing skills, as he demonstrated earlier today, but is that it? Or is there something more that I could work on? Is there a different way that I can improve? Or do I have an exclusive skill set that I can hone that Don can't offer to his viewers, or whatever it might be? So I want to remain wary of the possibility that we can step on each other's toes explicitly through hurting each other's viewership. But for one, I would say with relative comfort and confidence that I'm never bothered when there are 13, 14, 15 people on Dawn's stream or Pencenter stream and there's 6 on mine. It's not only am I newer than you folks, but also I do have a much more limited skill set. So I don't expect to have a monopoly of the stream, nor would it be reasonable for me to really want that. Do you guys have any other like different takes on the viewership hurting? Because I think that's probably the number one thing is, oh boy, so-and-so is on. That's definitely going to eat 40, 50, 60% of my viewership tonight. Any other angles on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I have one, and I was trying to frame it. I'm listening to everybody. I was trying to frame it, and I think I found a framing. I think the vibe on each channel, and I think that's the word I want to use, is different. As I've watched all 5 of all 4 of you, and I've looked at my own things. I think we could all say that all 5 of our vibes are very different. And I think that that's a good thing, and actually speaks to exactly what you're saying, Dan, about different people having different preferences. I think that's good. So I'm trying to see how we still respect that, and I'm not. This is an open question that I don't know how to solve, because this goes with any group. If you get a group of people in a room, we all get along, I think, pretty well. And I think that that's something that we can maintain, but I don't want to speak for other people and say that, say someone were to come and join a common server, for example, and say that they have an offense towards any one of us. I would hate to turn someone away because one of our vibes may not match, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that captures one of my concerns. I think that's like my primary concern, if I had any concerns at all. Is I think the concept of having a common place to ask questions and even letting multiple people attack a problem, that's a really positive thing. And I know that on all of our channels we've shared problems amongst all of us in some ways. We've all worked on common things quite a bit. So I think having that common space could be really helpful, and for scheduling, I think that's a plus. So I think that there's just. I think vibe is the number one word here. For me is the operative word. I don't know if that captures it, but maybe someone can comment on that. I don't know.
Saying that we all have different vibes is about the kindest way that you could have come up with to say, so Dan swears a whole lot, and the rest of us are a lot milder with our vocabulary.
Well, but I don't. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. Certainly, that is one area. But I'm talking even about like the kind of. I'm even talking about mannerisms. Things that you do that are distinct. And the games we play, or the kinds of audiences we attract. I think by nature of our individuality, which is huge, and I think that that's a huge plus in many ways.
Yeah.
It also can be a detractor for other audiences. But I can see that there's benefits to, again, having Dawn or Dan and any one of you broadcasting at any given time, and even having some times where we share like two people streaming. I could see that being a benefit in many ways. But I don't know. I think that's it's more than just the words you say.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, about scheduling things, I feel like I've heard, or I have a different take on the sentiments that I've heard from some of the others here, which is, like, if two of us are streaming at the same time, I don't view it as that much of a conflict. I think we're all kind of doing this for fun because we enjoy it, but we all have lives and other obligations and things that come first, and we kind of build the stream around that, and we kind of stream when we can. And, you know, if I'm streaming, I'd hate to feel like I'm blocking one of you from one of the few times that you're able to stream or something like that. And, you know, as been said, we all have different styles, the different vibes and reasons that people want to come particularly to one of us. And I don't think split it, like, in the general math viewership right now is still, like, very small. And I'm not super worried about splitting up, you know, 5 to 20 people at any time. I think we need to get people in from the outside. And streaming at the same time doesn't necessarily conflict with that to me. But of course, you know, whether you stream or not is completely up to you. But when I made my schedule, was completely about me and my schedule and how much mental energy I have for math.
I had a really interesting comment from Plaisant, and he or she says, to be honest, most math content on Twitch is mostly concentrated on freshman level, like calculus, linear algebra, etc. For me, it would be interesting to also solve problems at a higher level, right? Like he gave some examples like topology, group theory, for example, and then laughed about the real analysis problems posed by Druha. Right, so I think there's an interesting potential here because we all have different vibes, right? And we all have different aspects of mathematics that I think we enjoy. And if we could figure out a way to utilize those strengths, I think we could cast a much larger net than what we can cast doing things by ourselves.
And let me speak to that a little bit, because I think that this is one of the motives behind the real analysis course I want to offer. I'm going to do a little self-promotion here. But in January, I'm hoping to have a real analysis course because of that. I've seen people that want to engage in this level at some level on some theoretical things, whereas I find like Don and Dan like to focus more on that freshman level, sophomore level course stuff and deal with calculus and linear algebra questions. I think that's complete. I think there's viewership for both of these things. Like that's the thing is I get a lot of viewers who are theory minded. Whereas, and even some practice minded. I don't even think that that's completely I think those can coexist. I know some will say that pure and applied mathematicians need to separate themselves and whatever. I actually work in a very interdisciplinary department, so we do a lot of like cross pure and applied stuff all the time. So I definitely want to speak to the fact that there is a need for both, and I think those can coexist. So I'm definitely interested in trying to appeal to the upper division, if you will.
Yeah, I was wondering if you and ENStucky were like chomping at the bit at the comment that there's like no higher level math stuff happening on Twitch right now. I was like, hang on. I'm pretty sure I've turned on ENStucky's stream and just noped right the hell out after I had no idea what you were working on. So yeah, I think that the advertisement or the visibility of the higher level content is something that it sounds like could be improved, but certainly increasing the volume of it as well. I imagine that my bias is so drastically in the opposite direction that I would have to rely on you folks to speak more forthrightly and with the right gusto about really increasing the amount of really high-end, interesting, complex math stuff, because I'm always tentatively, I don't think you can say always and tentatively in the same sentence. I'm tentatively always going to find myself in the camp of, nope, just give me my high school community college students who are just looking to pass an algebra course. That's where I want to be. So having a shared space might give us the opportunity to like properly direct traffic of, hey, if you're looking for higher level content, you really want to check out ENStucky. You really want to check out Zach. You really want to check out Pencenter. You really want to check out Don. and that's it. You know, like I think it would be valuable to have that kind of like, hey, here's whatever Dan's room. This is the kind of content that he covers for newcomers. For people who are veterans, like they'll kind of know, oh, that's the guy that swears a lot. Okay, sure. And then that way there's like a communal space for whatever math might mean. It might mean the higher level stuff that's more theory focused. It might mean the lower level stuff that's more applied or practical. But at the very least, people have a space where they can go, yeah, I want math stuff, but I want this. Oh, there's the link right there for where to go if I'm interested in this kind of stuff. And we can all kind of like self-categorize of what we're doing. And I think you all already do an excellent job of saying when you're doing what kinds of streams. Like Don, off the top of my head, has days that are just gaming and days that are just math. And sometimes you switch from math to gaming. We could have stuff like that. Today is just an open lab day. If anybody has any questions, hit me up. Tomorrow might be just a learning new content day. If you're interested in like learning something new with me, come tomorrow. And that could work for all of us, right? So the parsing of content from low level to high level, I think could be really cool if we had like a shared space to advertise that. I have a couple comments to catch up on if there's no immediate feedback.
I
The only
see
thing I was
one.
going to add before you do that,
Yeah.
Dan, was I honestly, for me, I like the idea of scheduling, like scheduling in the sense that I like to know another, like I'm so like, you can look in, like I need a calendar. Otherwise I have no idea what the hell my life is happening. Like I don't, what
Yeah.
day is it today? I don't even know. So like having a singular place where I can go and I can see schedules, like I know, you know, Zach is streaming at this time this day, and you know, Don is streaming this time this day, and what that content looks like, I think is really helpful. I'm not super concerned about necessarily scheduling things overlapping. I mean, I feel like if I knew everybody's schedules better than I do right now, I would be able to kind of stagger in or out around those times so that we could actually help promote ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that kind of circles back to a very, very common sentiment I'm seeing is it's really cool to have options so that people can decide, well, I'm looking for open lab help. Okay, there's 2 open lab people. Well, I really kind of prefer Dan, or I really kind of prefer Pencenter, or I really kind of prefer Stucky, like whatever it is. So that's what I want to do. I want to have my options and then as the user make the decision of like wherever I go. Whether it's just I like this vibe, whether it's just I like this person's style or delivery, whether it's no, this person is the only one who covers the content that I need help with, whatever it might be. And again, I don't think that's restrictive to just the open lab stuff. I think even for, you know, when you're teaching real analysis or when you're teaching fake analysis, I know you call it complex, but if it's not real. But then like also if we're learning stuff, I know there's a big push for like a communal space for learning new content. So Zach, you'll obviously be teaching, but the rest of us will presumably be learning or reviewing real analysis in the winter or in the spring, I should say, in January. So having dedicated options, not just for preferences on who's streaming, but more importantly, perhaps on what they're streaming, what their delivery is, what their cadence is, whatever. So I think the overlapping stream thing, it seems to have overwhelming support. Like, don't worry about streaming on top of each other. In fact, we would prefer that just so that we can kind of pick for that day, what are we looking for? Was it a long day? Maybe we'll just do like a dumb, simple, like low level. Was it a really kind of boring day and I'm looking for something to sink my teeth into? Let's look at some high level streams today, whatever it might be. And speaking from the lab perspective, that is definitely my preference as well. I never, ever, ever liked working in a lab when it was just me that day. Because as soon as I forgot how negative numbers worked, I was screwed. I didn't have anybody to go like, oh, hey, like, can you just remind me, like, what happens if it's, like, when do I need the absolute value when I'm even rooting and even power? Like, how does that work? So having multiple people where I could just hop over to Pencenter stream, go in his chat and just say like, hey, man, I have something I'd like to, like, run across your stream for, like, 4 seconds. I really just need, like, a yes or no answer. Or, hey, I have a student who asked me for help, and I don't know if I can help them. I'd really love to push them through your queue if you have space for it. So, again, the open lab vibe for me of having multiple people to like bounce students between is really cool. But then that kind of necessitates giving them a one-stop shop to know, here's how you can get in queue. We will direct you to the person who can like help you the most right now. If you just come to me, sure, I'll help you if I can. If not, if you go to Pencenter, he'll help you if he can, right? But the idea that we can kind of make an informed decision on our end if it's a new user who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. We can kind of help them with like, oh yeah, I should be able to take care of you. But if not, you're already in the right Discord server to get connected to the people who could help you better than I could.
Don, I would be particularly interested in your thoughts on this because like you actually do this. You are part of this Discord server that like essentially runs on this queue system.
So yeah, I mean that Discord server in particular can be a little rough because you sometimes get, there's so many people potentially helping that there's a lot of crosstalk and like things get off topic or there's too many people helping at once. I don't think we would have that issue because there's only the 5 of us. I was trying to think of kind of, so I don't know how often you guys get questions from chat or in your Discords. I get very few. I'd love to have more, but I just don't get questions in my Discord and chat as much as I'd like. And so if we did make a group Discord, unless you guys have a bunch of people constantly asking questions, I don't think it'd be the busiest thing. I don't think that's, the worst thing in the world or reason not to do it. I just think that for the immediate time being, it's not going to be a super big thing. And so I don't know, I was trying to explore like potential like maybe compromises. Like if we didn't do a group Discord server, is there some kind of like bot that could take a question posted in my Discord and maybe push it out to the other people's Discords if I choose to push it out or something like that? I couldn't locate an actual bot. It might have to be like a custom commission thing, but that's something I was thinking of, like maybe a compromise between like a one-stop shop. I'm not opposed to the idea of one-stop shop, especially if everyone else wants to do it. I just don't imagine it would be that busy for a long time. Or maybe not a long time, but at least for a while. I'm sorry, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at chat here, and one suggestion is to have different channels on Discord. So if we had a common Discord server, you'd have a Dawn channel and a Dan channel and a Stucky channel, or I'm just
Right.
That's one suggestion to that. As I'm reading here, and you can follow Discord channels. Enigma says so. I don't know. Maybe that's the solution. I don't know.
Yeah, something that we definitely spoke about before, Zach, is the idea of like having a one-stop shop does not mean I'm shutting down my server, Don's shutting down his server. Like that's insane. So the idea of having a one-stop shop, I think, and again, like the higher level folks, you guys will have to contradict me on this as needed. But speaking from the pure students come to us for help perspective, having a one-stop shop, I think, streamlines their experience tremendously. But naturally within that space, because we are in many ways so wildly diverse and different from one another, we would want to have this is DannyHighway's place, this is E2iPie's place, this is Don Does Math's place. Like we want to have that kind of separation in such a way where we're in the same house, but we're in different wings or we're in different rooms or whatever you want to call it. And then that way, if someone's like, I really, really, really like this ENStucky person, like where can I find them? Obviously, you should have your own Discord at this point, but they can go like, okay, this is the one I'm going to follow. All the others I'll mute. I never want those notifications ever again. I just want to have this person's one channel. That would give them the option to opt into the one-stop shop. But if they're like, oh no, I really do like this person, do they have their own? Oh, they do. They have their own community and they do other content. He does DayZ. Like then, having our own places would still have value. It wouldn't be a replacement for like your server, mine, or whatever. It would more just be, here is the single space to go for math help. And I think the one thing for sure, like what problem does this solve, is there was one day, and that's kind of what pinged this whole conversation for me, where Pencenter, and I'm not blaming you, I'm not pointing fingers, where you posted the same question in like 4 different Discords, and I was like, man, there's got to be because I would have done the same thing. There's got to be a better way that we can do this, because like, what would I have done? I would have just copied and pasted it exactly like you did. So I was like, what would alleviate this issue? Yeah, so just for the help specifically, I think there's a tremendous advantage in just there's one Discord. But then I don't know how the higher level would reflect with that. And I just wanted to alleviate any potential fears that this would interfere with our own private spaces. Not private, but our own personal individualized spaces. I don't think that would be the case at all.
First of all, I wanted to
go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to say on the too many cooks, going head to head against everybody and trying to fight for the viewers. I think that would be sort of an interesting. I'll do it in Mario Kart and then I'll win. Maybe.
True,
Anyway.
I will not beat you in Mario Kart. 150cc is ludicrous. Ludicrous.
But all joking aside, I wonder though, having a common server, I like you said, like you're talking about with this, you know, still having the private spaces. Even in a server, you can have the channels dedicated to each person, and following those specific channels, or blocking those, as the case may be, if you feel a need to. That's also an option, and I think that's what people were speaking to. Maybe I don't know. I don't. I also think the private space can be beneficial, and so I think there's this balance that has to be. Again, this is why we're here, is to figure out what that may look like if needed. But I do see the benefit. Like, I'm thinking of my own institution, how we have a common place for all of the math students to get help for anything from college algebra to differential equations, and so there's one place that for the math department. Anyway.
Yeah. Penn, were you going to say something earlier?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I agree in the sense that, well, one, I have, like Brian has mentioned on chat, that it might be nicer from the student's perspective to have a single Discord server. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. And then as well, in addition to that, I felt really bad the other day when was it you, Danny? And I was like, I just like totally nabbed a question because I was like, I don't think Danny's going live today. Kind of like just nabbed a question. I was like, I'm just gonna do this question online, and I felt like such an asshat. Like after I did that,
Oh no,
and then
I was,
he went live,
I was
and I'm
glad
like,
you did it. I'm going to shut that down right now. I was glad you did it because I was like, I don't want to do this question, man. So no, you were good, 100%. But I could see why that could be a scaling issue if it was something where it was like, oh, I'm going to do this on Tuesday, and then like Don took care of it because he's a genius, or because ENStucky took care of it because it was like cool stuff I can do. Like, yeah, so I can see
like
that.
having that open lab concept is gonna kind of prevent us from stepping on each other's toes if we can figure out what it looks like.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like I think we've all kind of reiterated it and had it reiterated a couple times now, but the idea of like, you have your main server, and within your main server, you have Don's room, you have Pencenter's room, you have Zach's room, you have ENStucky's room, you have Danny's room. And then within these rooms, you get much more like individualized, like personal content or scheduling or whatever. But something that Enigma just brought up is the idea of a one, like, here is everybody's schedule for the week. Especially if we could coordinate some kind of bot or something to, whenever one of us cancels, that all of our schedules get updated to reflect, okay, Danny's not streaming today for whatever reason. Okay. And it kind of gives all of us the heads up of, oh, I thought I was going to be rating. Okay, guess not. Sure. And if we want to be coordinating in our attempts to like help students who are coming to Twitch, which, like Don said, is not exactly a flood right now, but hopefully it would increase as this becomes a better, more stable structure. It would give all of us a kind of sense of, oh, somebody is like out sick today or whatever. Let me see if I can cover, or let me see if there is a need to cover, and if there is, I can do so. But that's something that I think is just kind of, I don't know, self-evidently great. The idea of having, this is still my space, your space, his space, her space, but it's all in one platform instead of having to copy and paste 5 or 4 different links every single time. That's one thing of, yeah, just streamlining the user experience just kind of seems really, really, really ideal.
So
actually, go ahead.
Sorry. So if we had our own separate channels, this is one that was raised for my chat, but if we did have our own separate channels in that group Discord, then is that starting to impede on our like individual like Discords? Or I guess it might be a little bit redundant to have that to me, unless you're like ENStucky, you don't have your own personal Discord, then I can see that, but I'm not sure. It's almost like making almost too many things where if someone does want help from one of us in particular, they might not know where to go. So I mean, I could definitely see it just being like a group thing for someone who just wants an answer and doesn't care who answers it. But having too many individual things, it feels a little redundant. This is a detail thing that we can like work out if we're on board with the concept, but I just wanted to raise that point.
Yeah. I get the concept that while I'm speaking to a demographic that would want a one-stop shop, I get the idea that it's reasonable that there might be a demographic where it's like, wait, why am I? Don is here, but he's also here. What's that about? So I could see there being and the case for redundancy, I think also that's a huge one of, well, if we're doing a problem in the group chat, Discord, or whatever, then why am I going to put it in my own stream? I think the only thing that I would kind of retaliate with, and I don't know if it's adequate, is having a one-stop shop would be the gateway to the Math Twitch world, not necessarily specifically through you or through me or through anybody. I would have no guilt whatsoever if we had a shared space and someone new popped in my stream for the first time saying, here's my link, but there is also a community link with a bunch of other people. And then that's still fewer links that I'm already pushing 24/7. It would be, I would argue, less confusing, at least for what I'm currently doing. It'd be less confusing to only have to follow up on 2 links than it would be to follow up on currently 4. And then from there, if they have a vested interest in, like, I've checked out this Don character and his art is really good, they could, I imagine, muster up the motivation to look for your Discord, and that it wouldn't be a burden to have another link to go through. It'd be something that they opt into. So I think that you're right. There would be some irreducible clutter in terms of, great, just one more link. Like, someone somewhere will have that opinion, and I imagine it's not going to be one person, only one person. But that being said, I think the initial entry into the community would be more streamlined if it was just, here's my link, here's the community link. If you want to go check out anybody else, all of their links are in there. You can do that of your own volition, rather than, hey, you should check out Don, and you should check out Zach, and you should check out Pencenter, and you should check out my Discord, or else. Like, that's kind of what it feels like right now. I'm really trying to push you guys because I love your content. I love your demeanors. You're all very, very good people, or at least it certainly seems that way. You could be serial killers. I have no idea. But the images that you present of yourselves are all really cool. So I want to keep pushing your content, but having to push 4 links instead of 1, or 2, I should say, because it'd be mine and the community. It seems like still a net upgrade to me, even though you're right, it would be an additional link. It would just take the place of the 3 separate spaces I'm currently pushing in addition to my own.
So, I mean, honestly, I think what's more important is maybe to get a feel from everyone of whether we're on board with the idea of a group Discord of some form where people can ask questions. I guess, like, to the group or to us individually, or whether it's, actually in the Discord or being directed to our individual Discord. So I think it's something I'd definitely be willing to try, acknowledging that there's potential issues with it, but I don't know if we want to, like, go around and just say if we have any reservations about doing something like that.
I have one immediately, and it's Brian commented, I actually dislike Discord as a medium for math help. I would rather have a medium where the questions are searchable and separate, like Reddit or a forum or a board of some kind. And I have no notes. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Again, speaking on only low-level math content, that's never really been a barrier to entry for me or a lot of the students that I've worked with, or else they haven't reported that to me. But for a lot of the higher-level stuff that you folks get up to, I can completely see Discord being like an utter catastrophe in terms of having a high volume of content and also wanting to have it be searchable as like an archive. I do suspect Discord would kind of crash and burn in that way.
Yeah, the math Discord is not searchable at all. Sorry.
Yeah, so are we even sold on Discord as a medium? Because we've kind of talked as if we are, but that's just the only one that I'm really comfortable with. I'm perfectly happy to field the possibility of something outside of Discord. I think Reddit might suffer a similar problem, although Reddit is highly searchable, so maybe it wouldn't be as bad. What are your thoughts?
So
here,
have you, like, you guys know that Discord does have forums, right? So I
know that now. I was today years old when I learned that.
So I mean, you guys probably know that I use streamer.bot for streaming. So if you pop over into my stream, streamer.bot support has these forums, and you can go into these forums. Like, I can click the support forum, and each of the things comes up as a post essentially, and I can search through these posts and find stuff. So we could figure out how the fuck they do this, right? And then utilize this as a way to organize incoming questions.
Mhm.
Right? And I'm sure there's a way to tag this as answered or unanswered, and then people will kind of know what things look like.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's just my thought on that. I think the functionality is there. We just need to figure out how to use it.
You know, like there's definitely like a search function in Discord. It's not necessarily like I guess categorized or you know, it like it has tags like something like Stack Exchange does, where it's like a linear algebra question be tagged as linear algebra, unless we were to do that like separately put a message saying what it is, as far as I know. Unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I'm also not aware of a way to do that in Discord.
Oh, we
Yeah,
could
it
organize
seems
it by like channel too, like have a linear algebra channel or something like that. But then that's a little complicated too. And sorry, Dan.
No, don't be. One of the things that we run into for one of my jobs is at Chegg. One of the things that we run into scrubbing like age-old content of like I post a question to Chegg, an expert responds to it is the categorization. Don't fire me, Chegg. It's true. You know it. The categorization is abysmal. Some questions are like, this is linear algebra. You don't have any other options. They just sort it to linear algebra for you. Some bot does it or a human does it and they lock it and you can't change it, even if you're the editor, even if you're the expert. And then under the subheading of linear algebra, they might not have at all the thing you're looking for. You might be looking for like matrix diagonalization and it's like, that's not there. That's not linear algebra, idiot. Okay, well, it's in a linear algebra class. It says linear algebra on the assignment. I don't know what you want me to do. Maybe the professor organized it poorly, but how do I categorize this as linear algebra and then subheading like this category that is maybe not conventionally known as linear algebra? So the need for organization is obviously like that's paramount, but I think there's like an inevitability with how sort of overlapping all the different math fields are. There's an inevitability that the organization would just collapse if we try to get too granular with it. So to go back to something that Brian pointed out about like the boards and Reddit, one of the advantages of like Reddit in particular is you can just search an exact string of whatever's in the title and you'll probably get the exact Reddit thread you're looking for. If Discord had that and we could figure out how to work it, that could still be usable. But then we still run into the other potential complaints that haven't been voiced of like Discord doesn't have good math interfacing unless you get a bot for that, which we could. Don, I think you have something on your channel that does that, but
Things on a few, but yeah.
So
Yeah, you
I
can
have
get a bot to do tech.
Yeah, I have one on my channel or on my server. I had another thought because I know, for example, Don does a lot of Reddit searches and like you'll work problems from Reddit. I wonder if having a community specifically for math help on Twitch and perhaps having that be a solution that all of us could access, but that if that community existed, then all of us could use it from different Discord servers, and it would avoid the problem of having you'd be able to have a common place to ask questions that could be advertised to everyone, and then that would say, yeah, we'd still have the different communities, but I don't know if that would solve anything. It would at least allow.
So okay, can I ask a question? Because I think I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about, but I want to clarify. So, for example, let's say I right now open up this forum on my Discord. Boom.
Sure.
And I create some channel for this. I just call it math. Whatever. I can change it later.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm wondering if you guys can now come into the Element server and follow that forum. Like, can you follow that forum and put that forum in your individual Discords? Like, is this the solution to the problem? Is that what
I
you're
see an
asking?
option
Zach?
for new post. So I was being
I
told
honestly-
that community servers might have something that's helpful for this. I don't know enough about it though. And I'm sorry to cut off whoever that was.
So I guess this is the question, right? Like I was actually thinking of something external, but if we can solve it with a Discord solution, I'd love to do that. I mean that would be it would be less things to click, less clicks for the user, and therefore a better user experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of having centralized channels or forums like this that we can kind of all be a part of, right? We kind of direct people to the centralized aspect, and then if they want to join the localized channels, that's fine too.
Well, I know you can do channel following, and I know that there's a way, for example, I can push out announcements on my server to other people if they follow my server. So there are ways to do that. But I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Pencenter. Is that the kind of thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if you're asking.
Yeah, it's something like that. I feel like there's a
It's like
but
intended
I
for
actually,
announcements, but I think I know what you mean. It might work.
yeah.
Because I
Or
have like an
like
event
what
feed
you,
of mine. Oh, sorry. Go on.
but I'm even thinking about I mentioned Reddit specifically because that would be something that you already used on, but something that all of us could use independent of Discord. That does add another click. So like again, that is a downside here. I'm thinking from usability, some people may be unwilling to ask a question because it's just one more thing to do. And I don't know if that will cause problems or if that will be help. Having so and like maybe it's just my naivete on the way Discord works, but I know that there are forums. I'm so used to using channels that the forums I've seen them used, but they're not. I feel like they're hidden from view, almost to the point that I don't know to look for them if I'm not looking for them specifically. So I don't again I don't know if that will solve the problem either. I'm just thinking through what a user might experience if they see this.
How do you guys feel about the thought that, and I don't mean to keep trying to start wars within the math community, but how do you guys feel about the thought that the free flow of students asking for math help is sort of a different user base and is sort of a different like clientele than the people who are like, I'm really interested in looking at a really difficult topology question? Because I don't think that they're separate. I don't like the idea of thinking of them as like categorically or classifying them as different classes of people. But that being said, the person who's looking for their Pythagorean theorem question to be answered is fundamentally in a different category for now than the person who wants to look at a topology lecture for 3 hours straight.
And
One of
and more to,
Go ahead.
well, more to the point, I think it's sort of a mindset towards mathematics. Like some people, it might even be somebody who is doing topology, but is looking at getting a homework question answered versus wanting to learn something more. I think it's more about the motive in asking the question than it is about the content. Like I'm hearing content related things, and
Yeah.
that can be, but there are times where I just want to get a topology homework problem done, and that's my motive. And so there's a sense in which I'm trying to do something for a different purpose, if that makes sense.
No, I think that's brilliant, but you've clearly offended Pencenter because he's gone. So you might have to walk that back in a moment. Yeah. No, I honestly think that's brilliant. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's brilliant. I'm so content focused because my yes or no to the question, can you help me, is basically content based, but I think you're exactly right. I have no notes. It's 100%. It's what is the headspace that you're in? Do you just want help, or are you interested in something more exploratory, something more perhaps leisurely, but more like stimulating perhaps than just how do I do number one? How do I do number two? How do I do number three? And not to say that everyone looking for help is that way, but
well, and that's what you see on the sport is an exploration. A lot of the stuff I've done on my channel has been exploratory based, where I don't know the answer by design, and I sort of like that because it says something to the user. But it also, when people come in, there are people that say, "Hey, can you look at my code and see if I can make it work?" And or, "Hey, I have this. There's somebody who asked me about derivatives today, and can you help me with that?" That's a different hat I put on for that. Because there's a direction that the student wants for that specific purpose. But when I'm open exploring something, that's a different headspace. It's a different mentality. I put on a different hat for that.
Yeah.
And even my teaching hat is yet another one. Like when I'm actually like, if I'm running a course, that has a different vibe to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think it is important, as much as I don't have any intention to do it anytime soon, I think it is important to model not merely like how to navigate through a question that we've already done 1,000 times, but also how to like navigate through something we've never seen before. So the presence of that in like the math Twitch space is like ridiculously, it's invaluable. We can't put a price tag on it. So for sure, I think that's one of the benefits of having like almost like a shopping mall of like, okay, who are the math people? And it's like, well, this guy is just your mechanic. You go in, you tell him your problem, he fixes it, you go home. Like that's how I describe myself often for people who don't know what tutoring looks like. But you would definitely be more of like almost like the artist with the pen or the chalk or whatever is like, hey, here's something, we're going to watch beautiful art get created, and sometimes messy, but we're going to get to see something really, really cool if you can kind of follow the vocabulary of what this question is, of what's going on. So being able to separate it by, I kind of like that terminology of what hat would you like the streamer to wear? Are you looking for like the mechanic, or are you looking for something more artistic? Because I think there's a need, and you guys can speak to this even better than I can, but I've already seen it aplenty in my stream and yours. There's a need for the higher level artistry of looking at interesting math. I can't count how many times I've seen like Maxi or Druha or someone say like, this is boring, let's do something more interesting. And it's like, yeah, fuck, there's a need for that. But there is also, and will always be, a need for that, high school kid or that freshman in college saying, or first year student in college saying, hey, I'm super nervous. I have a scholarship writing on this. I need to pass this class. I don't know how to do y equals mx plus b. So I almost wonder if the Discord strictly serves the I just want to get help crowd more aptly, I guess, than it helps the I'm looking for really interesting, tough, high-level, challenging, communal questions crowd. Because I think that crowd will find themselves on Reddit. They will find themselves in like a forum. They will find themselves on Stack Exchange and then critiquing the Stack Exchange answer that got 37,000 upvotes. Like, no, but you forgot your plus C. Whereas I will just be regurgitating the same content that I've already kind of mastered over the decade of tutoring, because that's what I want to do. That's kind of the reason I came to Twitch in the first place. So I don't know if the Discord is limited in its use to one crowd and not both. And maybe that's where a lot of the schism, like philosophically, that I think we're all kind of feeling might be coming from, is this will work for the people who are just looking for help and don't care who they get it from, but might develop a preference if they become regulars. Sure. I don't know if this will work for the higher level crowd. I don't know if you guys have any initial knee-jerk thoughts on that.
My initial thought on that is sort of no, and what I'm to elaborate on this, like there was this problem that got passed around for a while between many of us. So there were a few of them. I'm thinking about the problem of the week. I don't know how many folks ended up thinking about this like part C number theory stuff, but that was a problem that was solved in substantial part on Discord. And then a lot of us ended up coming up with like different solutions. Even Brian, who's not on call, ended up like writing out solutions for this like triangle rectangle problem. And so for people who are in that camp of who are not in, maybe I should say, not in the camp of like having a specific homework as like goal that they're looking for. I think that having this space can allow like us to pass these harder problems around for each other in a way that doesn't like require that people watch like all of our streams, right? Because obviously people don't have time to do that. There's a lot of time covered.
And the math Discord has kind of answered this question too. Like, that's what I mean, like that big one that I get questions from. So for the kind of like what Danny's saying, the person who just wants the mechanic, just get an answer to the question and leave. There's designated help threads. They post their question, a bot converts it and makes it into like their own personal help thread. But then if you scroll down below that, there's a whole bunch of just topology discussion, linear algebra discussion, and things like that. I think that's how we could handle it too if we were, not necessarily like a bot that does help channels and things like that, but we could have a designated just help space and a designated like discussion space. But I think a lot is going to depend on, I guess we haven't answered the question if we do want to use Discord in the first place. So I think we are going to have some homework on that part.
Yeah, that's a brilliant observation, because I think the meme of that Discord server for us has been like, boy, oh boy, is this organized terribly at like the granular level, because people are just talking over each other. There's a too many cooks in the kitchen scenario where everyone wants to be the guy who solves the question. And so you just see 5 people typing at the same time when someone is asking like, how do I do y equals mx plus b? We don't need 5 people typing. And there's a lack of etiquette for the second, third, fourth, and fifth person who started typing, seeing the first and going, oh, okay, someone might have this, let me back off. And I think that we could all communicate that pretty effectively. So yeah, brilliant observation. I didn't think about that at all, that apart from memeing on that server, it does solve a lot of the problems that we're talking about.
So yeah, I think so far is that we all just agree at a high level that we want some kind of group environment, which it sounds like we all do in some form, maybe with some amount of reservations, and the rest is kind of we need to research the details. To put words in your guys' mouth, I guess.
No, I think there is, and I think all of us have kind of commented on this, but I would like to wrap with everyone having like a actionable, here is what I want to see happen before the next time we talk about this again. For me, the only real action is like starting with the most bare bones, minimalistic, like what all of us kind of did when we created our Discord servers is, okay, how does the struggling student who's never used Twitch before and happened to get recommended by a friend, how do I get them to the server seamlessly and as painlessly as possible? When they get to the server, how do I make sure the first message that they see in the welcome page tells them everything that they need to know? And then let them explore beyond that point if they want to. I think that's like the most important thing to get started with in terms of help. So for me, what I would like to get like a definitive, concrete answer from you guys on, not necessarily today, is would it be reasonable to just do a shared help space, which always relentlessly is still pushing us to our own servers? Of course it is, but just a shared help space so that students are streamlined to where they will get what they're looking for, whether it's help or whether it's like fun, high-level, challenging stuff. That's what I'm looking for, is if there's a specific reservation against having a shared flow help space, what are they? And can we resolve them? Because we've kind of talked a little bit about them, but ultimately, and I don't mean to put pressure, I don't mean to be antagonistic at all. I think we kind of know that we're not trying to get in each other's way here. I have zero reservations whatsoever about starting a Discord server today, now, and going, okay, this is the shared math help Twitch server. We're going to have to workshop the name. But obviously, like, there's good reason to be more hesitant. There's good reason to go, okay, well, maybe we should do like a test run. Maybe we should do more logistics. My reservations are this. So the big thing that I'm looking for in terms of actionable steps post this meeting is, why are we not doing that? And I'm not saying there isn't a good reason. There's several, but why are we not doing that? Can we address those questions? Can we address those answers? Can we address why we're not doing that? Yeah, because like I'm ready to pull the trigger, but I also don't want to pull the trigger if there's a single one of us who's like, I don't want to because X. I think the biggest thing is justification. Why are we doing this? What's the justification? Why will we not do it if we decide not to? What's the justification? I just want to justify it one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think this isn't something that's, I mean, it's something that I think we don't know necessarily whether it can work or not, but I think it's worth trying. To me, that's justification enough just to see if it is something that somehow, like, you know, really appeals to students, because like that big math Discord server obviously has a lot of appeal for students who want to learn in that sort of environment or get help. And so for me, I think that's enough justification to try our version of that in a way that makes sense to us.
I mean, I see benefit in giving it a trial run. I'd give it 30 days and see what happens.
Is there any universe where we get in touch with the math Discord server and go like, hey, so we're kind of trying to do something and it looks like you have a lot of infrastructure. Do you have anybody who streams on Twitch? Because we stream on Twitch. I don't know if that would be too ambitious right now to try to merge with an already existent community that probably has a lot more sway than we do. But I wouldn't want to be beholden. This whole project, we've said from day one, has to be voluntary. So I wouldn't want to be beholden to like any standards that we don't necessarily hold or agree with. But if it's something that already is like serving a purpose, if we could somehow, you know, find integration with that, that could be an idea. But that might be way too big picture for what we're thinking about right now. Right now, I think we're just like, can we eliminate some redundancy between how we're spamming? Like, I don't need a shout out every single time I go to your channels. I'm very grateful for it, but I really don't need it. Like, I'm going to spam your links once pretty much at the end of every stream. And I think that that's enough, you know? So the idea that we're trying to like boost each other's sort of audience engagement. I think it's really swell, and I don't want to take away from that. But the idea that we can just give a single link and go here, you can find everything you need here. That's sort of the problem that I'm personally trying to solve here. So maybe we should shy away from my original topic was, could we engage with that server? Maybe we shouldn't right now.
I think the actual question, I like your thought, but I think the actual question is, what do we not like about that server, right? Like, how can we take that server, repackage it in a way that makes more sense for us and for the people using that server?
In other words, using it as a template. I mean, what you're suggesting is to say this is the model on which we should build this thing, and
Potentially, I don't know if it is the model, but I like the idea of looking at it and saying, hey, like, they have something going because people are going there and getting their problems solved, but what do we not like about that thing? What can we make better in hopes that that will benefit our group?
and here are the two goals. Like I've seen this implemented in several ways. It sounds like you all are part of, like you, Dan and Don are both a part of the math. I've seen, the only thing I know about this Mystic Math server is it's what I've seen on Don's stream. So I haven't joined it, but I was a part of a server that was for the Summer of Math Exposition 3, the 3 Blue and Browns competition. And I was on that server, and it has a lot of different like panels that are geared towards specific content areas. Like you'll get people talking about dynamical systems, combinatorics, number theory, and so on. Like so there's a structure there that I've seen that's been effective. I'm not on that server because I'm not in that competition anymore. But like they did some pretty interesting things where they'd separate and talk about different things in different areas. So I can see a model like this working, and sort of merging that idea with what we're seeing in this Mystic Math Discord, that I'll just call it that, the Mystic Math Discord, because I don't know what it means, but somehow the people are getting the help they need. But I feel like those two purposes need to be served, because I feel like that's where all of it, just as No Prob Bob was saying, there's times where people want to see things just worked out on stream and explore something. And then there's space, like these different hats need to be accommodated to me. So whatever happens, I feel like that needs to be clear to the user how to get the kind of engagement with math that they want. And that the purpose is very clear to the user. Again, just from the user experience, I should be able to come in and see, okay, here's what we do here. We represent a subset of those who stream math on Twitch, and we want to direct you where you most want to engage. It's like a homepage of the Twitch math space. It's what Reddit would be if if it were the homepage of Twitch math, if you will. That's what I imagine the server being.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've got some people offering names already. I'm looking at Sora's here. The League of Math HQ. I don't know.
Yeah, how's chat taking things on your guys' side? Chat's I've had a couple comments from Brian and Placenta. I've just kind of written some stuff down that they've said, but what's chat like on your guys' side?
I have a couple of like helpful suggestions or things that are meant to be taken seriously, and then I have a whole lot of memes. So the things to be taken seriously, Stucky, this is like super old, so I apologize for not bringing this up sooner. But in terms of sudden schedule changes, Twitter, Discord, or put it as your stream info. So if you change your stream info, even when you're offline, to like not streaming tonight or something, it should still show up for people who are like looking for you. It still has the unfortunate side effect of like people don't find out you're not streaming until they go to your stream and then they see the title. But that would be something as a stand-in for like actually having an announcement page.
Plaisant has supplied us with a link to a Discord bot that could potentially manage a bunch of different calendars. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm happy to look at that.
Do you have a name on that? Oh, you can do a quick search here.
Yeah, sure. I think it's in here. And where is it? I think it's in general. So Discord scheduled events.
I'm going to take a look at it.
Are you in the... I can... let's see. Can I copy this?
I don't know if I'm in the elements. I probably should be.
I don't think you're in the elements. But I know you're in Danny's server, so I can put it in general chat in Danny's server, and I can put it in general chat in Don's server.
No, this is what we're here to,
Probably
this
not
is
the
what we're here to
point.
Who's this
solve.
guy who's spamming? What the heck?
Ban him immediately.
I
Time
will
him
put
out.
it everywhere.
His own.
Yeah. Brian just left for the night, but very, very graciously offered to work on a technical aspect after expressing general dislike for Discord. Has still very much gotten on board with like, hey, if you're trying to do something server side for a bot, let me know. I have some time. So Brian is someone that we can tap as a resource, and Brian obviously streams also, but Brian's someone we can tap as a resource, as a very huge part of this community to try to help us out with technical aspects if we're looking to make something homebrewed rather than finding something that already exists. Obviously, the scale of the project could have implications for whether it's feasible, whether one person can do it, whether we would need to kind of have a partnership or a whole team on it. But yeah, shout out to Brian for throwing that in there. Enigma had mentioned way earlier about the feasibility of Discord versus like Reddit or some kind of forum. The viability of Discord for conversations around questions. I don't believe that forums like Reddit allow you to reply with images. I would assert that even more interestingly and noteworthily, whatever. The benefit of Discord is that the conversation feels live and it feels interactive. Reddit, you're often refreshing the page just to see what the latest response has been. And Don, like you handle it masterfully. You make it look as if there's no effort required, but like that would definitely be an adjustment for me. I might be an adjustment for some other people as well to be refreshing that to see what the conversation looks like, or to have to like handle whatever that thread is. So any kind of chat organization is going to have its limits, but I don't know that Discord would be any less elegant than something like Reddit or something like a forum post. But it has the benefit of, if you're on Discord, you kind of know what it does. It's live, it's instant. You're going to get people typing away. You're going to see that they are typing when they're typing to you. I don't think that anyone who uses Twitch must necessarily be familiar with Discord, but there aren't really any convenient alternatives that are similar in their functionality other than, I don't know, Slack. So Discord might be it might get the most overlap between just viewers on Twitch in general. Probably have Discord profiles.
It also has the benefit of being able to have these voice calls as well. I think that can prove useful. I've seen it used effectively in some spaces, so I like that aspect as well. That as you were talking about synchronousness, that's one aspect that we can do as well.
Yeah,
I know I'll be using that sometime very soon. So
true.
Yeah, so not only does it allow us to do things like this when Twitch is being fussy, but like let's say you have an open lab or open office hour. What's preventing you from just bringing this like they don't need a camera, but bring the student in on voice and actually explaining the problem with them, right? And like having them like tutoring them in some sense, right? Where they get that kind of like feedback that's not via text.
Yeah, personally, that's my goal for the stream, just to get people in voice and actually help them out live like that. And sorry, Dan, what are you about to say?
No, I'm sorry. That's you basically took the words right from me. That's beautiful. I would hope that students would feel comfortable joining just the voice call and knowing that we can choose to broadcast their voice on the stream, or that we can choose not to and let the audience only hear a one-sided conversation if the student just isn't comfortable. My anecdotal data so far has been that no students ever feel comfortable joining the voice chat. They just want someone to talk at them. And maybe it's because of the sort of indoctrination of consuming YouTube content, because YouTube is just a titan in the current education space. Whatever it is, it could just be the fear or anxiety of being broadcast to people that you don't know, even though people will forget about you the moment that you're off camera, or off comms, I guess I should say. I imagine that a more immediate and, to me at least, very attractive benefit would be that, provided that we had some etiquette and protocols in place, I could hop on Pencenter stream immediately when I'm struggling in a question, and then just go, hey, are you busy? Too bad. I need you. And like we could have a protocol in place to make sure that I'm not interrupting you if you're in the middle of something, or not interrupting me if I'm in the middle of something, but that there's still like really clear, transparent visibility of, oh, three of us or two of us are streaming at the same time and one of us needs the other's help or just wants to consult the other or wants to share a question with the other. Hey, I just did this. This is super fun. Are you doing anything? This might be super fun. Your viewers might like this. So the idea of voice comms, even just for us, I think is spectacular. I don't think we're using it nearly as often as we might want to if we're looking to kind of have an integrated community. That being said, we have been trying not to step on each other's toes this entire time. So it makes sense that I don't want to invade Pencenter stream while he's doing superhero stuff. I don't want to invade Don's stream while he's doing magnificent artist Mona Lisa replications. I don't want to invade Zach's stream ever because Zach is just so much more professional than me. So I feel like it's just going to be like, oh, here's the idiot child compared to like, the actual graduate students. So having some kind of infrastructure in place where we can kind of feature on each other's channels as seamlessly as Discord allows us to, but talking amongst ourselves to have some etiquette of like, hey, when I'm live, please DM me first. Don't just invade whatever I'm doing. There was a while when I started where I would just be in a live voice call and nobody ever joined. So I just don't do that by default anymore. Now it's if somebody wants to join in voice, I'll offer it to them, but generally people don't even ask about that. Yeah, I think the voice would be more for our benefit for now. But I'm totally in agreement with you, Don. I'd love it if students were more comfortable commonly getting in calls with us. I just don't imagine that happens, especially if our audience continues to be like high school students, first year college students. I imagine they'll have a lot of that like social anxiety of not wanting to be broadcast to
Yeah, it can be like
strangers.
a thing for regulars or something like that, but
Yeah.
I guess we're getting, that's a separate issue.
Sure. Yeah. Enigma ages ago mentioned something about, I think that if people don't have specific times they want to stream, having a day where you all chain your streams would be cool. Just an off the cuff thought. I don't know if by chain you mean stream one after the other. I imagine that's what you mean because that's kind of what chain implies. But yeah, having a day where it's like, okay, as soon as Dan wraps up, or as soon as Don wraps up, I'll go live. I think we've already tried to sort of treat each other with grace in that way. But I don't know if there's any dissenting thought on this. I think we've all kind of coalesced on the thought that we probably should have multiple people on at the same time, just so that we can collaborate as needed and we can say like, hey, if you're looking for something more interesting, you should really check out ENStucky right now. I'm going to be doing Pythagorean theorem all night. Like if you're looking for something really much more sophisticated, you should go check out what they're up to. Yeah, I think chaining streams could be cool, but I don't know if we are more in favor after this talk of no, like just stream. Don't worry about stepping on my toes. Just go on.
I also like the idea of us scheduling joint streams. Personally, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. And for me, like, it's something I was going to bring up, but as far as I'm concerned, you guys would be fun to play a board game with or a video game with or something like that. I love Zach's Mario Kart thing, and I am trying to get my hands on a Switch so I can participate in that. But I don't think it needs to be limited necessarily.
I will
just
buy
to
Mario Kart just for you, Zach.
You will do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah,
I'll do it just for you.
Well, we're gonna do this. I may as well say something. We're gonna do something starting next Friday. So get excited. I'm getting the details together, what that means, but I like the idea. And if for the longest time I've wanted to do stuff like this, even just community-based events, and like this is actually, Dan and I can co-stream this real analysis course. Since you're going to be a student in it anyway, you may as well we can co-stream this and work that out. I don't know, we'll have to do this offline, but the idea, I've wanted to invite people on. That's something that I feel that we can do synchronously. That's one reason to use Twitch in the first place, is to be able to talk synchronously with people. Otherwise, we should be doing asynchronous content on YouTube. And why are we doing this? Like, there's a sense in which I think I chose Twitch because of the synchronous nature of what it is. So that's something that I feel like we're underutilizing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, it just takes me back to that first time I was in Danny's stream, and I'm like, hey, just like throw me on chat, and then we just like did this like crazy, what was that, partial derivative question or whatever. We fixed that up for a student. which I thought was like that to me is super cool. Like if
I
I'm
missed
super
the-
struggling on real analysis and like Drew has here and wants to jump in voice chat, like let's like I kind of want to like start doing stuff like that. I think that'd be fun.
Or even doing the random Pokemon chess. Remember that? That was a
Yeah,
bit of a
the
fun
oddball.
little. that was something else. I'll never forget the 3 wins you got. So that's
When 2 of them were like entirely RNG. Oh yeah, and I had to pretend that I earned those wins, knowing full well. Like you got
you
like
won
3.
the third one. You won
You
the
got, like,
third one. That's
You got crit like 3 times in a row in 2 separate games. Which, for anybody who doesn't know how it works, it was just normal chess rules. But if you crit, you can just take a piece and then keep moving. Just move again. You just get 2 turns in a row. And there were times where Zach got crit 3 turns in a row. So I just got 4 uninterrupted chess turns. Fair and balanced for sure.
and
Just
it was
a
me
comment here.
forgetting
Just
how. Go ahead. Yeah.
just a comment for you guys to think about. I'll put it in my little write up here. The comment is just about for Twitch to move better, just think about putting tags in. So, for example, someone was searching math, couldn't find Zach. Under.
Did I not put one in there for math? Holy cow! That's
So
not good.
we could figure out what makes sense for tags and like what optimizes people to find us with those tags. I'm
Right.
sure Twitch has analytics, right?
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
Math is a good one.
Because usually I stream under, for example, math, but if the tags aren't right, gosh, that's not bothering me that I don't have that set. I'm looking right now because I feel like that's something that I should have right away.
You're
Yeah,
revealing that you never wanted.
it feels odd that you wouldn't have that, to be honest. But
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, that's why I'm a little surprised if it's not
In
coming
theory,
up.
the math category should have that as an automatic tag, but I think it's a math game that it's not actually like a math category.
Oh,
Yeah, there isn't a
true.
true math
Yeah.
category. Yeah.
yeah,
That's true.
that's right.
Now, Zach, you're just revealing that you never actually wanted to be a math streamer. You only wanted to be a Mario Kart streamer. This is just your gateway to get an audience, and then
Listen, what better way to do it, right?
well, you're
Joke's
playing a
on
long
you.
game. You're doing graduate school, all of graduate school, just as a front to become a Mario Kart streamer. Truly incredible. Really, just a
That's what it's all about. That's why I've been self-promoting, right? Like it's all about it all makes sense now.
yeah.
Yep.
PhD in Mario Kart.
And I talk math sometimes, but it's really all of you that carry the show. So
Here's an idea that I love and fully support. Woj One Eye says, "Math races, let's go." I wholly support the idea of watching and not participating ever in math races and watching you guys.
We can
just
do
be
like
leaps and
pre-calc
bounds.
or like stuff that we can all do. And we just try and speed run like simpler questions. That was my thoughts. I'd love to do a math competition like that, rather than really hard problems.
On that, if any of you have watched like chess streamers, like sub battles are a thing, I definitely would love to see that at some point.
Oh yeah. So you basically get in a queue, right? And then like you're in a queue to challenge that chess streamer, right?
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, wouldn't that be something?
It'd be kind of funny, actually. Kind of fun to watch.
No, I've had thoughts about something like that before. I know. I think what was it? Speed running a book. I was gonna get like an arithmetic book, and I was gonna see if I could speed run some arithmetic book that's not too hard.
Mhm.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, that could be cool. It'd be bonus points if we could somehow find a way to streamline like the performance score. Because like when you speedrun a video game, you can get a performance score of like you got an S plus, you got a B, like you didn't pick up the one item that does whatever. Doing that for something like this, where it's like you got to the end of the book, now we have to grade it and go, oh, you got 57% of the questions wrong.
Oh my gosh! Hi, Levi.
That would be
Levi says
entertaining to watch. Yeah, I'd be sitting in suspense, and I don't know how I could take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my Levi says speedrunner proof that 1 + 1 = 2.
Oh, I wouldn't that easy.
I guess yeah.
I just count on my hands, dude. 1, 2, easy. We win.
But I think that comes really it comes back to the idea that if we do have a community space, then we can advertise for those kinds of events, and people that feel comfortable doing those kinds of events can participate in those kinds of events, right? Like we don't have to participate, but I mean there's a certain subsection of us I think that would be potentially interested, or a subsection of our chat that would be interested. So I think that that's a value add for a community space.
Yeah, 100%. And that kind of inspires a thought. Go ahead.
I do need to leave relatively soon, guys, because my dog is literally just like sitting outside the door and whining.
Just waiting. Yeah.
Just waiting for the evening walk. But my question to you before I do kind of peace out is, if I don't know if this is possible, but if I could make you editors on the elements, would you be willing to work with me on constructing what we think a community space looks like? So like I'm 100% happy and willing to dedicate the elements as a community space, or at least a space where we can play around and try and figure out what we like and what we don't like. And then that way, if we can use it, if we like it, or we can start something fresh and brand new, knowing what we've learned from just playing around.
My initial hesitation comes in the form of, it feels like it's more of an advertisement for you than it feels like an advertisement as a mutually shared space. That being said, I don't think that's your intention at all. So I'm not trying to be like antagonistic or accusatory or anything like that. But is there anyone else who at all feels that way, or is like, no, Dan, shut up, because then we can do it? But the thought I had in my head was that we would just make a new Discord server, not make it public until we thought we had something functional, and then maybe publish it or post it. Is there any reason that we shouldn't use Pencenter's Discord? Anybody else have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's like, to try to advertise or anything like that. Or, I guess you could interpret that, but I don't think that's his intention. To me, it's more like if we decided like, oh man, guys, this is really a bad idea, we should not do this, then Pencenter might have a big issue on his hands with like, what do you do with all the text channels and the roles and stuff like that? Like untangling it could be a mess. But I mean, off the top of my head, I don't have a specific reservation about using the elements aside from that.
Cool. And yeah, I want to be clear, I don't think you're trying to monopolize the community either. That's not at all my thought. But it was an initial hesitation of like, okay, this could feel lopsided. But I'm ready to say yes right now. I just don't know if I'm not thinking about it correctly in having that thought at all, or if I should have more of that thought. I just wanted to see if anybody else was feeling anything similar.
It's a thought on the table, and I want to be kind of clear that if we do have a community space, I probably won't have my own Discord. I'm probably just going to live in that community space to make my life easier. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't want to scale this conversation because I know you're trying to get out of here. That could be something that we differ on for the folks who are like, yeah, but I also might do hot tub streams. I also might do video game streams. I think you've pretty classically stuck to math exclusively, which makes sense that you wouldn't want to have like the redundancy of a Pencenter math server and then a community math server where you are also like highly active. But I'm definitely in the camp of like, I wouldn't want mine to be the community space. So it makes total sense to me if you're like, if we're going to do a community space, let's do it on mine. But I do second Don's thought of we don't want to make it worse for you if we decide to backpedal and not do the thing.
That being said, you and Don have the most follower, like the largest of the servers, and so it does make sense in that sense. But I share Don's concern, so I'm trying to figure out what that means. There's a tension there that feels it's hard to balance.
ENStucky, any thoughts?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot. Just curious.
We don't have to answer this right now.
Yeah. Sure.
Can I ask just like one other like, I mean, it's a really big question, but like, how do we feel about, I guess, how we incorporate, or I just want to put the questions out there, we don't have to answer them, but how do we feel about incorporating new streamers who aren't in this group of 5, and then educational streamers in general, not necessarily just math?
No, we monopolize math. It's all us. Anybody else is just banned permanently. No, this is something, I'm glad you brought this up. This might be a great thing to end on so Pencenter can get out of here. And if the rest of us want to stay, we can, I guess. But I'd really like to have all 5 of us for the convo. Pencenter, you brought up ages ago. Ideally, we want this to scale. That might not be the first thing we focus on in our conversation, but the idea of like Brian going, I'd like to be the 6th member. Yeah, sure. Who cares? Jed could start streaming. Sure, join. Absolutely. Like if you can do this kind of content, if you think you want to do anything from just math help to just doing cool high-end stuff and seeing if you attract an audience, absolutely this should scale. So I am wholesale in favor. When you guys rated me and started treating me as one of like the big members, I kind of shared a thought that ENStucky said earlier. Why me? Like, what? Why? Hang on, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you guys, I didn't earn this. What are we doing here? So, if we're going to open the doors to me so easily, I think you should open the doors to everyone easily. But still, we should still vet each other. If I ever start acting up in a way that doesn't serve the goal, I should be kind of disciplined and excised. Like, guys, this is, forgive me, this is a community space. We're trying to be a community. So if anybody violates like the standards of the community, that needs to be taken seriously. So I think we should have open doors for anybody who wants to do what we're doing, not just be an audience member, but participate in the creation side. And just always have the same standards for all of us, not just, well, Dan's allowed to curse because that's always been his vibe, but like the rest of us are kind of more, no, like we should be held to the same standards, whatever those are, but definitely be inclusive to anyone who wants to do what we're doing.
I think there's potential here to move beyond just mathematics as well. I mean, like people that may need help with mathematics may also need help with chemistry or physics or something like that. And if we find individuals along the way that are happy to support that kind of content, then, I mean, I don't think it's something we have to worry about immediately, but it's something certainly that I would be open to think about. I mean, I can't, if someone comes to me and asks me to solve a physics problem, I probably can't do that. But it would be nice to have somebody in my community, right, that is able to do that. And I'm just like, hey, just head to the community, so-and-so that takes care of physics. Boom, right? Like it comes back to that kind of that idea of I hate saying like one-stop shop, but like I want it to be like really streamlined for the user, right? If they need help in some kind of science, then maybe we're that place.
Yeah.
In general, for me with streaming, I've found that just being as inclusive as possible is the way to go. Like the only thing, like kind of like qualification, I might want to see some kind of like commitment to doing it. Like they maybe be doing it for a certain amount of time or something like that. But other than that, like I don't think you get very far by excluding people.
Yeah, vetting them, making them do a whole training program. None of us did that. Our training program was that we learned how to do y equals mx plus b. Now we can do that. So here we are.
That was a really good training program. And like, who's that one streamer? That one like Merriweather or whatever. Like, like excellent physics streamer, right? Like, can definitely handle the physics content.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think about a person like that, and I'm like, how advantageous would it be for us as a community to have that individual that brings that aspect to the table? And again, I'm not thinking about immediately. I'm thinking after we get things sorted out, we can think about what that looks like. But I'm open to that idea. I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, laying the groundwork for an organized Discord server just to have math easy to scrub through would naturally scale to just, okay, let's put everything that we just did in the math room and then just copy and paste it for the physics room, copy and paste it for the writing room, copy and paste it for whatever. So 100% agreed. I think scale potential is there as long as we get the infrastructure right, which we have time to play with.
Math Discord has that too. I feel like that's been a meme, but they also do have like sister servers for like chemistry and stuff. And sorry, what?
Don, I want to tell you something. Never, ever, ever apologize to me for us both talking at the same time because communication is weird.
I feel so bad.
Listen, you are smart. You are valued. Your opinion matters. I was always the guy who would talk over everybody. I think I still have a lot of traces of that. So I try to, if me and someone else start talking at the same time, just like I will shut up because I want to hear what you have to say because I hear what I have to say all the time. So I need something new to shake things up. No, I think ENStucky, it looked like you were chomping at the bit to say something. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I keep like trying to think about how I want to phrase this. Essentially the question that I want to ask, which is sort of rhetorical, is like how soon do we start looking for the sixth member, right? Which is really a question of like how comfortable do we feel like presenting this like unprepared version to somebody, and that's probably not a question for stream, but like I think it should be on the radar.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have a tentative rhetorical answer to your rhetorical question, which is like, I don't know that we like poach people or look for people. Although, admittedly, that's super hypocritical for me to say because I feel like I was kind of poached. But I'm happy to have the idea of a channel for like, if you're interested in volunteering, please do so. You know what I mean? Like it's an open invite type of deal. That being said, if there's people who are already on Twitch and they're not responding to that passive invite, I'm 100% with you that at some point there should be a timeline for us for let's send an active invite because this person is dope and it would be really cool if they wanted to collaborate with us.
And I think
that's
it's
what.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, please. Go ahead.
Stop saying sorry. Stop saying sorry.
Well, I suppose that's a place where you could invite someone onto stream. But going back to the collaboration, you might start inviting that person. If there's somebody who has already done things and you want to sort of invite them into this group, one thing that you could do is invite, and that way it gives an opportunity to network in a way. I think that's a really powerful resource that could be helpful.
I think you'll eventually hit like a scaling piece too, right? Like if you eventually like if we ever hit that space where we're like, holy shit, like we're getting a lot more asks to solve problems than we're able to solve on stream, I think it's time for us to bring somebody else in, right? Like I think there's a natural time where that would happen as well if we don't do it ourselves.
Yeah, I think we best start getting a system that works for the group of us, and then thinking more seriously about including others unless someone really jives or with us or something like that. 5 is already like a decent group. I'm not, although if someone else like turns up who would really be a great fit, then we should, you know, get them, but we should figure out something between us as the first priority.
When you said get them, I just saw you with like a little net being like
hiding behind a bush. Like
yeah, that's what I was picturing. You got me exactly right.
So speaking of big conversations, the thing that like I bristle at with that description is like, this is not something that any of us can help, but like we're a bunch of white male presenting people, right? And so the notion of like find something that works for us like is probably going to have some biases if we're not really actively thinking about that.
Yeah.
Something I want to throw out early.
That's important. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that I think it is too easy to get comfortable neglecting. I know I'm certainly guilty of just like not thinking at all about things that just were assigned to me at birth that I don't like, you know, have any compunctions about. And it's like, yeah, but this does necessarily alter the way that people view me. And if we all have some kind of characteristic overlap in how we present ourselves, then yeah, for sure. We want to make sure that we are not accidentally excluding anybody who could be not only a great asset to the community that we are trying to serve, but could also inspire others to follow suit and also be great assets to the community. The first person who is not presenting as a white male streamer might inspire the next person who is also not going to present as a white male streamer, so on and so on. So I don't necessarily think that any of us are looking to hit a certain diversity quota, just that we want people to know that they are welcome here, no matter what they look like, no matter what they identify as. And right now, we might not give off that vibe. Too Many Cooks has solved the problem of talking over each other. Just go, fuck you, it's my turn to talk next time. And we should be good. So, Don, you have your homework.
Fuck you, it's my turn to talk.
Okay. Thank you. Pencenter, how are you on time? Is it about time to wrap?
Yeah, unless there's any other, like, I can stick around for a few minutes. It's not like super pressing, but if there's something that people really like that's boiling at the surface and people really are curious about, I will stick around for a few more minutes.
Doesn't seem like it. I think it
might
might be a good time.
Already. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be a good time to for each of us to kind of come up with what we hope to get answers to as soon as possible. And that might be a good thing to kind of leave both ourselves with, each other with, and the audience with. And so I'll just start it off because I'm pretty much a one-track mind with this, so I don't think this will be a shock to anyone. But my priority is and probably will remain just doing relatively gen ed math help. Not so much the pursuit of like curious, Zach, you used this word earlier and I thought it was brilliant, the kind of like exploratory math. That's just not going to be my focus. And so my priority in this discourse will continue to be how do we streamline the user experience for people who just want their mechanic. So I'm hoping that remains a focus for us. That being said, I need you guys, and I will rely on you to override me when I focus too much on that and I neglect the community that's looking for the more interesting, the more curious, the more exploratory stuff. Because by nature, I will neglect them. That is my failure as a member of this community. Is that that's just not going to be my strength and it's not going to be my focus. So I'll depend on you all to make sure that we don't neglect them because I won't know how to treat that properly. But that's kind of my next steps that I hope that we can get to is how do we streamline the help experience. Everything else I leave in your more than capable hands, but the help experience, I think that might be a good thing to really, really lay the groundwork for early and thoroughly if we can.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I'll very briefly say that the main thing I want to see next is sort of a protocol etiquette for hopping in and out of streams. That's something that I'm really excited about seeing as soon as possible, and let's get the foundation for that.
I second that. Actually, I think it'd be good to have something that we can start just doing things together. I feel like that's part of the point.
Cool. Any other
Great.
thoughts? Any other next steps we want to see early?
What's it going to take to make this happen in 30 days? To make a combined community, is that too soon? Is that too late? Putting a number on things usually helps make something happen. So if we set a deadline and say we need to do something by X date, then we can make a call. Or is that unwise?
I think that's smart.
Because I would say Don Pencenter.
From a North American perspective, if we could have this figured out before January, that would be great because you're going to have a lot of students that are like, holy shit, I have exams in February. I kind of need help with stuff. So if we have kind of a way to capture those students that are going to be passing through that coming up soon here in the next couple of months, that'd be great.
Arbitrarily, then, I say December 15th.
Sounds good.
That's
That's a completely arbitrary date that you can do whatever you want with. But I say by December 15th we have something.
Now, what something are you looking for?
Well, it sounds like having some kind of common community space, be it Discord, Reddit. The modality to me doesn't matter, but having something that satisfies our need to have one, a common scheduling of some kind, two, a common way to ask questions, and three, a common place to have some kind of exploratory experience. As long as those three conditions are satisfied, I really don't care what it looks like. I recommend Discord because I think it solves a lot of our problems already. And we already use that, and many of our viewers are already use that anyway. So, but I propose that it has those three things, and that from what I'm gathering, that's the things we need. And if I'm missing something, please add to that list.
Can I get, I was putting the date in my calendar, I apologize. Can I get a quick, I think it was a 3-point summary?
Sure.
Yes. You got that, Zach?
Go ahead. I'd actually better that somebody else say it to make sure it transferred nicely.
Sure. So I wrote down a tentative date of December 15th.
Yep.
And we're looking specifically for a common community space that satisfies three things. The first thing is common scheduling. The second thing is a common way for users to ask and get help to questions. And the third thing is a common way for users to explore, whatever that might entail.
Cool. Thank you very much. Awesome. Any other parting thoughts? Any other parting next steps, comments, queries? Zach, once again, congratulations.
Thank you. And then I guess the community at large, just brainstorm a name. You're all I'm very bad at that, so that's where I would need help. I can maybe get the organization together, but I when it comes to naming things, I'm very bad at it. So right now we can call this. I don't know. We gotta figure this out. So
There is
what
one
a cool
suggestion
name.
for Nerds of the Round Table. So
Nerds
that's
of
one
the
I can
Round
throw out there. Credit to Central for saying that.
I saw
I'll
only
say-
math.
Only math. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
I don't like
obviously-
that in the sense that we won't be able to scale away from only math.
Oh, 1,000%. I shoot it down
Yeah.
immediately, but I thought it was worth bringing up just for the humor of it.
I mean, I saw also what was it, the League of Math, whatever. I can't remember. League of Math HQ. That's what it is.
Mm.
That was another one I saw.
True.
Made me
Yeah,
smile.
I guess Math Hub is also one of the question.
So,
True.
I couldn't help myself. I had to go for it. It was it was
like
a
it.
low hanging fruit, so to speak.
That actually took me a
Um,
moment. I was not in that headspace. I wasn't ready to make that connection. I did now.
I think
Oh.
having if we're gonna go naming wise, we should have a name that's open to be able to scale in the future.
Yeah.
That would be my only comment on that.
Cool.
ready,
Appreciate
break.
you folks. Thank you all very much for being here. Anybody who's still sticking around in chat, in any of our chats, you are all excellent. Thank you very, very, very much. Hopefully this will serve you all very, very soon in terms of streamlining your experience, whatever you might be here for, be it the streamlined mechanic math help, or be it something like much more interesting and sophisticated like what the rest of these folks all do. Guys, you've been all awesome. Thank you all for your thoughts on this. I appreciate the collaboration. I appreciate you including me. Much love. Thank you, folks.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I
guys.
think it's also important to say that, like, if there is anyone in the chat right now that feels like they want to add to this conversation at some later point, like just reach out to us in Discord. Like, we're more than happy to hear what you guys have to say, because it's not only for us, it's for you guys as well. So
Cool.
Sounds good.
Thanks, people.
All right.
Take care,
Bye,
folks.
everyone.
yeah, take care, guys.
Okay. Wow. So I guess I have some more thoughts that I'm going to say before I wrap the stream up. That was a great conversation. The thing I want to address immediately is I'm super grateful to Stucky for raising the point about, we shouldn't forget like who we are, and we should strive to include everyone. And Sophie, thanks for adding on your experience. And if there's anything from your perspective that we could change, I'd greatly value that perspective or opinion. Quaffles, hey, Council of Mathematics. Oh, I just mean like if you have like more thoughts about what like the group can do to be more inclusive, since you mentioned that point. Not necessarily like being involved in it, because I guess that's our whole like separate discussion too. But I don't know. What else am I thinking? I don't know. I didn't expect for people to necessarily be opposed to Discord, but it is a good point that we're not limited just to Discord, so that it opens a can of worms. I think it's a good one to open up. Overall, they just seem like cool people. Like Central, I don't blame you for Zach being your new favorite nerd. Yeah, thanks so much, everyone who's been hanging out with me.